Welcome back to this little wild studio of mine. This week we're going to draw a zebra eye with just 3 coloured pencils, and that's in honour of International Zebra Day on the 31st of January. We're going to think about how eyes are windows to understanding and connection, how patience is found in building layers with a limited palette, how slowing down to study details deepens our connection, and of course understanding that we're after connection, not perfection. The full video can be found inside Hedgerow, and if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out in the comments. Like and subscribe if you want to see future videos from me, but for now, let's get started. Hello, welcome back to this little wild studio of mine. Today we're going to look at a zebra. And we're not going to do a whole zebra, but a zebra eye. And I've chosen a zebra to do because the 31st of January is International Zebra Day. And you may not know, but there's actually 3 sorts of zebra. And while mountain and plains zebra are not in danger of disappearing, there is a type of zebra called Gravy's zebra, and they are actually threatened. Which means their population is decreasing and where they live is being influenced by humans to an extent that it's making it difficult for them to maintain population. And they're a different type of zebra compared to the mountain and the plains. What we most recognise, I guess, they're much more mule-like, have big fluffy mule ears, which is very interesting. We're going to do a plain old plain zebra, plain old plains zebra today. And I wanted to do an eye in here, and we're going to capture a little bit of the face, and I'm going to pop the image that I'm going to use up on screen, which is cropped, but I've given you the link to the entire image so you can go ahead and grab that and play along with me. We're going to do it a little different today. So zebras, we know, are primarily, black and white. They have quite a lot of brown on them as well, but we know them as black and white. And instead of just using charcoal or graphite or a black pencil, I'm going to use 3 grey pencils. So I've got a Polychromos Warm Grey 2, Warm Grey 4 and Warm Grey 6 here. And that's going to give me my mid-tone, my lights and my darks. And we're going to be able to create a really nice value structure. So values are light to dark. You're going to be able to create a really lovely value structure using those 3 pencils. And if this inspires you, using 3 pencils in this way, it's also really interesting to use 3 coloured pencils, perhaps colours that you wouldn't necessarily see in the reference that you might be using, and try those together. So I encourage you to do that. I am going to sketch the image out that I'm going to use in here. It's going to take up the entirety of this rectangle that I have used a bit of washi tape to cordon off. But you, of course, do not have to do it as large. You can do it even larger, whatever calls to you, whatever calls to you. I have used a bit of just normal, plain old washi tape, and you can use any sort of tape in your sketchbook. Know that you want it to have less tack, so less stickiness than usual. So what is a good idea is to use either low tack tape, which you can buy at the hardware shop, or washi tape. And even then still, I peel off a piece and stick it onto my desk and then take it off so some of the stickiness is removed. You want to keep your tape on for as little amount of time as possible, so try not to leave it on there for weeks and months. Just because it has the ability to damage your page, more likely, I guess it's more likely to damage your page. If you find as you start to pull tape up that it's pulling the plant fibre of the page up as well, don't keep pulling. Grab a hairdryer and heat the tape up, and then it should come off nice and easy. You also want to make sure that you're pulling at a 45-degree angle, okay? Like that. So I'm going to sketch using my lightest value, and we're going to use the same form that I've talked about in other videos and that should remain front and center for you as you work on learning to sketch realistically from scratch, and that is to think about shapes before you start to think about anything else. So don't have to name the shapes. You're just going to use your eyes and then have your hand follow around to try and create the shapes that you see. If it gets a bit hard and confusing for you to do that, often it's because our brains won't stop the chatter. This is what this is what you should do here, this is the easiest way to do it. Our brains are really good at that. So what can be really helpful is actually turning your image upside down, your image and your book, so that you just suddenly get a whole bunch of senseless sort of shapes. Your brain really literally can't tell you what's going on there. Even if you're really good at reading upside down like I am, it still throws your brain off. So that chatter stops and you get to see those shapes a little better, a little more clearly. And we want to go for those big shapes first because, like sculpting with a great big piece of marble, we don't go straight in with details. We want to get those bigger shapes and then start carving out some of the smaller shapes. So I've found the biggest shape of the eye there. I want to really make sure I get the right angle of the eye there. As the shape of the eyelashes. Gorgeous big long lashes. All right, I think I've got the basic shape down for what I want to look at here with this gorgeous creature. So yes, they have their eyes on the side of their head. They're side mounted, I guess, for that better sort of peripheral vision. So they get basically like a great long panorama of what's going on, which I'm sure you can imagine would be very helpful on planes where you can be stalked by a myriad of larger cats. So yeah, they're specifically adapted for that. And that's what I just find utterly incredible about wildlife, is that how perfectly they're adapted to where they belong, to how they're a part of this ecosystem, how everything works together. We lose sight of that sometimes. So I'm going in with my mid-tone now, so warm grey 4, and I'm just tightening up some of these shapes a little bit in preparation to bring in the darker colours in the eye here. I can see the pupil in here, and as I said, it's a slit. Maybe I didn't say. It's a slit. It's an elongated rectangle that goes this way rather than a round iris, a round pupil like what we have, and that really helps them with that vision. This is an opportunity to just decide whether I've got things where I want them to be. If I want to change them out a bit, I can. Mostly coloured pencil, when used lightly like this, can be erased pretty easily. So if you're going in with coloured pencil straight away rather than using graphite, which I'm doing and I think is a lovely practice, but it's something that could feel a bit scary if you're just starting, know that if you do use it lightly, you can erase mostly. Some pigments are a little bit more staining, but these greys are fine. All right, now I really like to have a conversation with the wild beings that I'm drawing. So in order to do that, when you're doing an eye, you want to do the eye first, so you can continue the conversation as you build everything else around it. So the things that I want to look at in here, in this eye, is where is the very darkest? If you can hear me over the lorikeets outside. They've got a bunch of babies at the moment, so there's a lot of excitement going on out there apparently. I think they must be sitting right at the door. So I've got my dark now, my warm grey 6. And I'm looking at what's the darkest areas in the eye. And I know that the lashes is 1, but I want to come in last with that because I want to do the eye that's underneath. And the pupil is 1. There's no real catch light to be seen here, as in no bright reflection. And we can choose as an artist to adjust that a little bit. So up here is lighter. I'm going to make it even lighter still. And if we want really dark, we don't have to press hard. We just do multiple layers. And then we can use our lighter colour to blend that down a little bit and go backwards and forwards that way. So inside the inner eye here is quite dark. Now I have a question for you. Are zebra white with black stripes or black with white stripes, do you think? And I know that many of you probably already know the answer. But they're black with white stripes. Which is interesting, isn't it? I'm going to go back to my mid tone, bring that in here. So this process is all about layering. Lots of layers. And get my very lightest value, pop that at the top of the eye here. I'm going to bring it around the edge here, which you can see a little bit of, and come all the way down. Go back to my darkest dark. Just build these layers up. It's almost so dark in here, it feels like it becomes part of this pupil, doesn't it? And note that the pupil doesn't go right to the edge of that cornea of the rounded part. There's a little bit of that lighter value. We'll bring lashes in there. To the mid-tone. Soften out this area here. And then up in here, and keep that quite light there for the moment. What I'm going to do actually is bring this lightest tone out and around, lightest value, and in here, actually all the way around in there, there's quite a little bit of light happening there. I'm going to bring the mid. I'm just basically going to go backwards and forwards between the mid and the dark to get what I can see value-wise happening around the eye at the same time as I build out the eye, just so it's not sitting in space there doing weird things. So I think that you can see that by keeping this part lighter up here, we've got more of a story happening about the reflection onto the eye, particularly if you sit back a little bit, but it was a little too stark through here. So I've added just a little bit of the mid-tone. And I probably need to thicken up the darkness around here a little bit too. Just sit back every now and then. Is it too light? I don't think so. I might bring just a little bit of the mid colour up in there. Yeah, I think we'll leave it at that. We can always adjust as we go. So I want to start bringing in some of these darker little hairs that I see up here. Now I've got an eye. I feel like I'm having a conversation with this being. So I want to get the rest of the area down and then come back and talk to her again a bit more and see if I need to add, adjust. Because I'm right-handed, it's better for me if I work from top left down, so I'm less likely to be rubbing my hand over everything. So think about that for yourself as well. And so to start off with, I'm just going to get in some of these darker hairs. So working on stripes and those sorts of things is exactly the same process as getting that initial drawing down. You want to think about what's the shape of it, what's the big shape of it, and then what smaller shapes can you see, and just keep refining that, keep sculpting it down. And take your time. You don't have to take your time and hurry up, just literally take your time, work at the speed of you. And this is a joyous practice and process. Enjoy it, enjoy it. If you feel yourself rushing to try and finish, just looking here, this needs to be wider, then it might be a good opportunity to stop and have a little break. See that line through there? Sometimes our papers have faults. Have a little break and get yourself something to eat or drink, go for a little walk. Or you can just really think about how you could embody the being that you're working on. I always think that's really nice. So sit back and stretch a little minute, put your hand on your heart, your elbows, pop your shoulders down and your elbows. Don't have your elbows up and drawing because it could be dangerous. And think about what it might be like to be zebra. To not just watch, not just pat, not just be amazed by, but how could it be to feel those, glutes turn into these really strong hind legs, how powerful and swift that you can run, and how you can turn on a dime, how you can jump and kick and prance. Imagine the freedom of being able to run like that. And then think about how you try and portray that. So all of this process is about developing depth, right? So it's building up those layers. We don't go in hard and fast straight away. We get to build it all up. And in doing so, you're building relationship with your practice, for one, but you're also building relationship with the being that you're studying. Like every single time you come back to an area and look at it again, you are bound to learn a bit more, to see a bit more. And then, as I often say, the more you see, the more you see. So you become more open to receiving further visual information because you've looked at this being a few times now. So for example, I'm seeing here that I need to bring this out a little bit more. So I'll do that with the mid-tone. So celebrate and enjoy that as well. Keep your beginner's mind. So keep being open and willing to learn. And really enjoy the process. So I think that, one of the really exciting things about studying a small area of a creature, such as an eye, I think an eye is a beautiful way to connect. It helps it's eye-opening, I guess. You start to connect with the entire being more because now you're having a conversation with them. It's eye-to-eye contact, even if they're not real and a part of a drawing. You now feel like you know a little bit more about zebra because you've studied them. And when you study beings like this, you're taking them into your body through your eyes. So what's coming out on the page is not just zebra now, it's zebra with you in it. And I think that's a beautiful thing to think about. It's participatory, right? Wow. That's a big one. It's no longer just, them and us. We got to spend time together. I feel like I know zebra a bit more. And I'm honouring this one individual, yes, but also zebra as a whole. And having an utterly delightful time in doing so. There is something so satisfying about that. Let's go slowly. Stuck to my fingers. Oh, tore a little bit of paper there. Okay, there's our zebra. Oh my goodness, I had so much fun with that, as always. I'm going to put a little key down here of what I used. So around about the middle here. Warm grey 4. And Pee-wee is going to sing along in the rain. One grey 2. And one grey 6. Very, very dramatic background noises today. I'm just sitting back a bit, thinking about where I might want to add anything else because my stars. The end times. Because your practice doesn't have to end at any one time. You can decide to come back to this drawing later if you would like to. Or you can enjoy where you've left it for now. And there we have it. A delightful little zebra eye. All right, my friends, I hope you enjoyed that session. I'm really looking forward to you joining me again in the Wild Studio again next week. All right, take care. Bye. All right, my friends, keep sketching, stay curious and compassionate, and let your creativity connect you to what is wild and wondrous. I'll see you next week.